Alright guys, what is up? Good morning. So we've done tubs where we did the DIY kits before. We've done those. Today we're getting the tub redone here at the flip, but we've got a pro doing it. So one of our guys that does it for that contracts out jobs for us is going to help us resurface this tub. It's a steel tub, cast iron. So he's prepping right now. He's gonna wash it right now with acid, and then after that, I'm recording the whole process over here on the time lapse. But we'll kind of try to sneak in there and get a couple shots of what he's doing. Sí, no. Quieren pagar $50 por... Alright guys, so we've got our respirators on. He's taped off all the floor. Right now he's going to wash the tub with acid, which is telling me it's going to smell a little bit.
Alright guys, so here Martin is using an acid to clean the tub, and I guess from what he said, it takes off a little coat of the surface, and it cleans really well so that the new epoxy can actually stick to the surface. So he just poured it on the edges and then used a little brush and kind of brushed it everywhere. And of course he's got gloves on. He's got his respirator because this stuff smelled really bad. He said, you know, when they use this, they just have to be careful not to get it on their skin. But yeah, he just brushed it on lightly. He left it soaking for about 10 minutes. Alright, and while that was drying, we went over and took a look at his sprayer that he's using. So he's using this little cap spray 9100 HVLP sprayer. It's a 4-stage HVLP sprayer, and that's what he's going to use. He's also using some Bondo, which we're going to use to repair those big chips on the tub surface, and some acetone to clean it up. But yeah, I've never seen one of these, never sprayed one of these, so I thought it was pretty cool. Once that sat for a little while, he came back and washed it and wiped it all down with a clean rag and just ran water through the tub, washed it all away. Alright, and here's what it looks like clean. Looks like pretty good already. Just with cleaning it with the acid, it took off all the grime and stuff at the bottom especially.
Alright, so he's getting washed off all the acid, and then I think he did a sand with some sandpaper, which is 100 grit. Looks good.
Alright, so next step, he took the sprayer that he's using to spray the actual paint. He took the gun off, and he's just using the air that it blows to dry everything completely, so he doesn't have to wait for it to air dry. He's wiping it down with a dry cloth and then just hitting everything with that air to get it to dry quicker, since he's, you know, trying to get it done as fast as possible. But yeah, he's spraying everything down in the little crevices. He did sweep the bathroom before we started, and then once it was completely dry, he pulled out the Bondo to get started on the repairs.
20 años.
20 años, sí.
Desde el 2007 por ahí.
¿Y cómo empezó nomás?
De chalán.
De chalán.
De chalán.
¿Conocí a alguien o nomás?
Sí, conocí allá en California a alguien que hacía esto y tráigase las cosas, ayúdame a subir, ayúdame a bajar. Ya como a los 2 años después me enseñé a echar primer, a preparar todo esto.
Alright, once he had all that mixed up, he used a Bondo spatula to apply it to the repair areas. And he worked his way from the top down. And of course he overlapped a bit so that when he came back and sanded, he can feather it out, is what he was telling me. And this is what the Bondo looks while it's drying. Alright, and next we set up the extractor. So this is a little machine that will pull out all the fumes from the room while it's drying, and it'll shoot them out. He has this little vent. It'll shoot it out the window or the door, wherever he sets it, and that's the way they can do these without your whole house smelling like fumes. So he does a lot of apartments resurfacing, like countertops and tubs and stuff for apartment complexes, and so this is really handy because you don't want all the fumes going into the other apartments while they're doing it. And I mean, there's still fumes, there's still some smells, but it's not as strong when you use an extractor like this. Alright, so once everything was dry, he took a sander. I believe he had a like 220 grit on here. And he just started sanding the repairs to fade them into the existing tub. That took a while. I'm not gonna bore you guys through it, but after he finished sanding, I missed it, but he wiped down the entire surface again, and then he taped off all the areas so that he can go ahead and spray the primer and the epoxy. So his machine doesn't spray quite as much as like a regular paint sprayer, so he doesn't need to tape off as much, but he taped off the little plumbing part here, the drain, and there's the repairs sanded down. So any little chips or things like that on there, he sanded down. And then he turned on his machine. He already had his stuff mixed. I didn't really get a look at his stuff, but he told me this was primer. So this is a special primer, and he says they have to buy them from a commercial place. So they buy their materials from a specific supplier for this stuff. It's not just anything you can pick up at Lowe's or Home Depot. But he sprayed the inside first, just a light coat, and he said this stuff is pretty strong, so he likes to cover his arms and face so he doesn't get it on himself. And then after that dried about an hour, then he came back and sanded. the coat of primer, cleaned it up, and then moved on to the actual epoxy that's gonna go on the tub. Yeah, and this stuff smelled really strong as well. And this is epoxy, so it's like a lot thicker. It's different to work with. Just from the epoxies that I've tried, they're like really difficult to clean up after. And yeah, so he worked from the inside towards the outside, just light coat so that it doesn't drip. And then once it starts to kind of dry on itself, he went back and did a little bit more on the inside and the top edge. Alright, and then again, he took off the actual gun off of his sprayer, and he dried the epoxy, and then did a whole nother coat on it, and then this is the result after. So it looks really smooth. This stuff is like self-leveling, so it'll level itself out and smooth itself out. But it looks really good versus buying a new tub.
Alright guys, so it's done, it's drying, it smells really bad in there, and the fan's on, so I don't want to go in there. But that was it. It took 2 coats, and then all the prep work that my team did on it, but it came out really nice. So I just wanted to show you guys what a professional resurfacing job looks like. So yeah, thanks for checking out the channel. Hit that like, that subscribe down below if you want to see more videos. And